Yeah, so I've been looking into this on some of my rentals and let's see, a purchase option agreement. There was two ways, and one is more contractual than the other, depending on how the paperwork's done. But you got two different documents. You got your lease agreement, and then you got your option agreement. And the lease agreement, so let's say that they default on making their rent payments. You
Yes,
evict them, you go through that whole process just like a normal rental situation, and you take your rental agreement to the court so that you can do the eviction process.
that's correct.
You leave the option agreement sitting in your office because that's not in play right now.
Correct.
And that option, like you said, you got money on the option agreement, this option fee. And then the question to me was, does anything go towards their down payment? Because I see some people on their rental, monthly rental, they will sit there and let a portion of that go towards their down payment. And a lot of them will actually hike it up above normal rental rates so that they can have that extra that gets applied towards a down payment if they follow through on the option.
Very good one. So that's actually a strategy that a company named Divvy Homes does. Divvy Homes is big here in Texas. So that's exactly what they do. They'll actually buy the property. They'll say, hey, go out, whatever house you want, and you pick the house. We got the capital. We'll buy the property. We're going to rent the property to you, but it's going to be a higher rate, right? And the purpose of that is because they take a percentage or a portion of that rent and they'll put it into an escrow account for you. So
Hmm.
at time of year 2 or year 3, whenever you're going to now exercise that option to purchase, then they will give you that as part of the down payment to help you out. So the whole idea is really to kind of, and you can do this on a smaller level, right? You don't have to do it on a major corporation level, but you
Right.
do it on a smaller level. You're pretty much putting this person in the best option to win. You put him in the best position to win, excuse me. And some investors even, connect them with credit repair companies or, anything like that, just to put them in a position, because at the end, you really want them to execute and buy the property, right? That's the goal. So these are some really great options out there. And I like the rent to own program, but you just have to find the right property for it in the right situation and the right buyer, of course.
Yeah, and the reality of it is, I mean, you can get really shady on that whole purchase option agreement if you're not being ethical. But
Yeah.
the reality is, like you said, it's helping someone that needed credit repair that can't right now go and get their own home loan and purchase. So you give them that sense of ownership. You're still collecting your cash flow from the rental. You're helping them save up their down payment, which most people in credit repair don't have the discipline to put a savings in place for a down payment.
Yeah.
And it is also showing a track record for these 2 years or whatever your option agreement is, that they've been making these payments that the bank can see. But the reality is, most people just aren't that disciplined and they
Yeah.
get to the 2 years. I forget the statistics, but it's the majority of people will never go through with the option. And so what happens is you end up getting cash flow and you've got an option fee, but that's you giving them a chance, and then that's your benefit if they don't take the chance.
Correct.
Who else is going to give them that chance? Because the bank's not, they've already rejected them. So
Yeah.
you as a real estate investor is giving them a chance, and they just have to act upon it.
Absolutely. And it's a thing. And I did read that as well, that, there is a small percentage of people who actually execute this in the correct manner that it was designed. And it can be predatory in a sense. So, but, from an ethical standpoint, as an investor, we're definitely not here to do unethical things, right? That's the
Right.
biggest thing, right? Even as me doing wholesale deals and stuff, an example, I wouldn't go to elderly homeowner and then offer them a ridiculously low ball amount because they have no idea what their property's worth, and just, take this incredible assignment fee. I just can't do it ethically speaking, right?
Mhm.
Because it's just not right. It's just not right things. But there's people out there that do put a sour taste in people's mouth because they do unethical things, and unfortunately that's happened. But rent to own has a bad taste in most people's mouths because of that. So yeah.
But it can be a very effective tool to help someone get in a house where they wouldn't have had that opportunity before. So I just thought I would bring that up because I know I've heard that before and it's a reality, but also the reality is in every industry, you've got unethical people. And so that's why if you're ethical, you're going to shine above them. You're going to have a reputation, and you're either going to have karma as a lover or she's going to be a bitch to you. And I'd rather have her as a lover. So I'm going to put the good stuff out so I can get the good stuff back.
Very true. Very true. I'm glad you mentioned that. That's why I mentioned this other investor. He's an elderly guy. He's about 80 years old. And he's the one who did the earlier version of the seller finance part with the bank notes. And one thing about him too, I really loved is that he recognized that people were doing unethical versions of seller financing. And the way that happened, just so people understand, there's two versions of seller financing. There's contract for deed, and then it's the one that I just explained, right, which is the typical version. The difference for contract to deed is that instead of you signing over the deed to the new homeowner at the time of closing, you're basically putting the property into a trust, and the individual buyer is making payments to you for ownership of the trust.
Yeah.
And without spending too much time in explaining that is because real property as a physical property house is considered real property. A trust, when it has a property in there, is considered personal property. Personal property, there's certain things you can do. Basically, you can kick them out like that tomorrow. There's no foreclosure purposes that needed when it's considered in the personal property or within a trust.
Yeah.
If it's just seller finance without it being in a trust, you can't. You have to foreclose them when they don't make payments. And of course, that process takes time and money. So that's why contract for deed is something that a lot of people do, is because if a person defaults, they can simply just have them exit because it's considered your personal property now.
Right.
But that also allows for big problems because at that point, are you extending this opportunity of purchasing a home to somebody who's truly qualified, or are you doing that to a person that you know will default?
Right.
You see that where that part comes down? So that's where the ethics standpoint comes in. And I personally like to do seller financing as a seller to candidates who've gone through loan origination. And that's something that banks do, right? A loan origination process. So when you go through the loan origination process, you can see that this individual is qualified. And I'm able to make a better decision and a more ethical decision to say, according to what I received from the loan originator, this person is qualified to purchase the home according to my risk tolerance.
Yeah.
Right. And so that situation allows for it to be a better scenario in the back end.